U.S. Mexico and the U.S. government and the Mexican government. Started about 5 years ago. Carlos Villarreal, Eduardo Gaza, Jose Flores, and other folks, Jesus also. Some folks who were there in Washington, D.C. We brought in customs. We brought in, at that time, Alfredo Gutierrez Mina, who's now a Supreme Court Justice in Mexico, and we sat down. And I remember, and Carlos, you remember this, we sat down with Mina Gutierrez, and you know what it is, you start talking about it, and when somebody gives you this type of body language, you know it's going to be uphill. So we started talking, and by the end of the night, Mr. Mina Gutierrez said, well, think about it. So that was a good opening because it was from a no-no. We kept telling, you know, hey, you got to understand Laredo. If you look at the longest airport that we have here, our runway, it's actually more than what Mexico has, at least in numbers. It's actually longer than the one in San Antonio. So we have a jewel here in Laredo. So a little bit of time went by, and we get confident, and we said, well, Mexico wants to do this. We want Acapulco. Well, okay. We want Laredo, and you can decide whatever you want to do there. And later they went from people over to cargo. The agreement was done. There will be one in Laredo and two in Mexico. And as we were going on, something came up. U.S. President said, in a good way, very rational way, they said, well, we're not going to go into the programs in Mexico unless we carry guns. And if you go to Mexico, I know it's a difficult situation. I sat down personally with the Secretary of Defense. He said, well, let me look at it. I sat down with Osorio Chong, let me look at it. Eventually, because we were trying to do this without changing the law, but eventually the Mexican government said, we got to change the law. President Peña Nieto did the right thing, got it passed through Congress. They changed it where now U.S. Customs will be able to carry guns. So in many ways, I say, the law was changed because of Laredo, because we couldn't start Laredo unless the Mexicans the U.S. Customs got in. So once this got started itself, and it started about a year ago on a very limited basis, but after October 15th, when it was officially signed, Laredo had started this. I think we've had about 21 operations that officially have gone through this, and I think once the nation, both on the U.S. side and the Mexican side, understand what this means, because basically, and I say this is cargo that was going over Laredo, 30,000 feet over Laredo. To my fellow Laredo friends, it doesn't touch you in any way or form because it was going over Laredo. This is new business that's coming into Laredo itself. So imagine, once we're able to pre-clear the cargo here, they can go anywhere into Mexico. So it sets up Laredo in a very special way to make sure that we are able to pre-clear that cargo over here going into Mexico itself. You know, Laredo, the city of Laredo, went ahead and invested the $3.3 million for the new facility that's here. Think about this. This is the only place where you got computers, Mexicanos, computers on this side, the processes, U.S. Customs official, Mexican Customs official in the same place. Nowhere else you find this. So while you have candidates for president, candidates for other places, running saying we need to deport and we got to do this and we got to put a fence, Laredo is doing the right thing. We understand that Rio Bravo, Rio Grande is not divided, but actually unites us together, and this is what we try to do in Laredo. Is designed to facilitate and expedite delivery of air cargo, not only for certified Mexican importers, whether it's automobile, auto parts, electronics, electrical, aerospace industry, but for so many things. I think all we have to do is look at how this opens up the process itself. This operation will save time and cost to the importers itself. We know what the Laredo Airport connects to. It connects to many areas there in Mexico. So again, this will provide a new tool for Laredo and actually work with Mexico itself also. Let's talk about this airport to make sure everybody understands what it is. 1,800 acres, pretty big. We talked about the runway, bigger than my northern part in my district in San Antonio. It actually, what it has is, in the last 10 years, we have invested over $100 million. If you look at what we have here, it's different from what it was when the airport was here. So in the last 20 years, I think it's over $200 million that have been invested here at this airport. Soon, we'll be announcing another millions of dollars. We're not giving away more millions of dollars that will be coming in for the airport. We're working on trying to fix that, not fix, actually replace the tower that we have here, the equipment that we have, and we actually have the person who's the head of that part of the federal government who will come down, because we want to show them, how can we be the only place to have this type of facility that's so outdated that came in when it was established. So we're looking forward to making sure we have all the right investments, and from there, Laredo will be the premier air, truck, freight, trade, sport in all of North America. That's because of you. Look at what we have, talk to the folks, the Kia plant that were today, the HEB, the other areas that are looking at this, there's companies that are looking at this. Now that we have the pre-clearance, we're ready to make it work itself. So again, I'm asking the trade community, we've always have to think outside the box. And as we're working to make the rail more efficient, looking at the bridges that we're working at, so eventually we got to start thinking outside the box. Look at Houston, they have a port authority. Look at New York, they have a port authority. Look at other places, LA, they have a port authority. I think finally, Laredo should start looking at establishing the first land port authority to make sure that we stay number one. Chrysler, they have an aircraft that has been processed under the pre-inspection procedure. I don't know if we have anybody from Chrysler here, but Chrysler allowed us to see that first process. So I certainly want to say to Chrysler, thank you so much. So at this time, as I conclude, let me just do a couple of things. I do want to present a flag to the City of Laredo. So if I can have the mayor, my good friend Richard Raymond, the state rep, and certainly Jesus and present also as we make a flag presentation. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I thought it was a picture of Mayor Simon. Again, this flag on behalf of the U.S. government, and again to our President's friends also, and on behalf of Richard, the mayor, and Jesus and all that, I want to say thank you so much for the great work that you're doing. A couple of presentations. Again, these were folks that were not just around. They actually did the work. I know that Carlos Villarreal was there from the very beginning. He was there meetings in Washington, in Laredo, in Mexico City, and I want to have Carlos Villarreal, Jose Flores,